Kevin knelt on the cold, hard ground. Tears streamed down his face. Unchecked, he clutched a small bunch of wildflowers tightly. He missed his mother terribly. She was gone, taken too soon by a sickness that left him alone. The world felt so empty and cold. He lay his flowers at her headstone. It felt so unfair. Why did he have to be alone? A gentle hand touched his shoulder. Kevin flinched, startled. He didn't like to be touched. He looked up, wary and cautious. A woman with kind eyes and a warm smile looked down at him. She reminded him of his mother. He wanted to run, but something in her gaze held him there. "It's all right, dear one," the woman said softly. Her voice soothed him. "Sometimes we just need to let the tears come." Kevin couldn't help himself. He leaned into her touch, the dam within him breaking. He sobbed, pouring out his grief and loneliness into the fabric of her coat. St. Michael's Orphanage for Boys wasn't a cruel place, not exactly, but it was far from a happy home, far from it. The building itself was old, a rambling Victorian with creaky floors and drafty windows. The other boys, hardened by their own losses, weren't always kind. Kevin, small and quiet, became an easy target. They called him names, tripped him in the hallways, and hid his few possessions. Every day was a struggle to simply blend in, to avoid attracting attention. He ate his meals in silence, his eyes downcast. He spent his free time reading, escaping into worlds where families were whole and love was abundant. But even the most captivating stories couldn't erase the ache in his heart. Kevin felt so alone. He missed his mother's gentle touch, her warm laughter. He missed her bedtime stories, her goodnight kisses. He missed everything about her, every single thing. He kept a small photograph of them together, tucked away in his pocket, a tangible reminder of the love they shared. The woman at the cemetery, Susan, returned the next week. She had felt a connection to the boy, Kevin, and couldn't bear to leave him alone in his sorrow. And the week after that, each visit became a ritual, a sacred time for both of them to remember and heal. She would sit with Kevin, listening patiently as he poured out his heart. His words were often tangled with grief, but Susan's presence was a steady anchor. She brought him cookies and talked to him about his mother. They shared stories, laughed at old memories, and sometimes just sat in silence, letting the moment speak for itself. She never pushed him to share more than he was ready to, but her presence was a balm to his wounded spirit. Her gentle approach allowed Kevin to open up at his own pace. Susan learned that Kevin loved to draw. His sketches were more than just pictures. They were windows into his soul. She brought him a sketchbook and a set of colored pencils. These gifts were not just tools for drawing, but instruments of healing. She encouraged his talent, marveling at the worlds he created on paper. Each drawing was a testament to his resilience and creativity. He drew fantastical creatures and faraway lands, but mostly he drew pictures of his mother. These drawings were his way of keeping her close, of feeling her presence. Each stroke of the pencil was a prayer, a desperate plea to keep her memory alive. His art became a bridge between the past and the present. For the first time since his mother's death, Kevin felt a glimmer of hope. His drawings brought him a sense of peace and purpose. He looked forward to Susan's visits, to her kindness and compassion. Her presence was a light in his darkest days. He began to open up to her, sharing his fears and insecurities. Susan's understanding and empathy made him feel safe. She listened without judgment, offering words of comfort and encouragement. Her support was unwavering, a constant source of strength for Kevin. In her presence, the heavy weight of his grief felt a little lighter. Together, they found a way to navigate the pain, one visit at a time. Section 4. A Mother's Intuition. Susan found herself inexplicably drawn to Kevin, a young boy who seemed to carry the weight of the world on his small shoulders. His vulnerability tugged at her heartstrings, reminding her of her own longing for a child, a longing that had grown more intense with each passing year. She and her husband, Richard, had tried for years to start a family, but fate had other plans. Despite their best efforts, the universe seemed to conspire against them. Each failed attempt left them heartbroken, their dreams shattered into a million pieces. The pain was a constant companion, a shadow that loomed over their lives. One night, as Susan lay in bed, she had a vivid dream that felt more real than any she had ever experienced. In the dream, she saw a young boy with Kevin's sad eyes, but he was smiling, a smile that seemed to light up the entire room. He reached out to her, his hand outstretched, as if he was beckoning her to come closer, to understand something important. A voice, clear as a bell, whispered in her ear, 443 Washington Street. The address echoed in her mind, resonating with a sense of urgency. Susan awoke with a start, her heart pounding in her chest. The dream had felt so real, so vivid, that she couldn't dismiss it as mere fantasy. She couldn't shake the feeling that this dream was more than just a figment of her imagination. It felt like a message, a sign that she needed to follow. The next morning, Susan shared her dream with Richard over breakfast. She described the boy, the address, and the overwhelming feeling that they needed to go there. She told him about the boy's sad eyes, the address that had been whispered to her, and the sense of urgency that had gripped her heart. Richard, ever the pragmatist, was skeptical. He listened patiently, but couldn't hide his doubt. He pointed out that it was probably just her subconscious mind processing her longing for a child, a manifestation of her deepest desires and fears. But Susan couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to it. She felt a deep, unexplainable connection to the boy in her dream, a connection that she couldn't ignore. Determined to uncover the truth, Susan decided that she had to visit the address. She felt that her intuition was guiding her towards something significant, something that could change their lives forever. Despite Richard's reservations, he agreed to accompany her. Together, they set out on a journey that would test their faith, their love, and their belief in the power of a mother's intuition. 443 Washington Street, Richard muttered, consulting his phone. The address seemed to leap off the screen, almost as if it were calling out to him. "That's not too far from here, actually," he said, trying to sound casual, but his voice betrayed a hint of curiosity. "It's in that older part of town, the one with all the historical buildings and cobblestone streets." The area had always intrigued them, with its rich history and old-world charm. Susan nodded, her intuition buzzing. She had always trusted her gut feelings, and this time was no different. There was something about this address that felt significant. Could it be? She started, but Richard cut her off gently. He knew where her thoughts were heading, and he wanted to temper her expectations. "Susan, honey, I know you're attached to Kevin, but we can't get our hopes up like this." His voice was soft, filled with concern and love. He hated seeing her in pain. "It's probably just a coincidence," he added, though even he wasn't entirely convinced. The universe had a strange way of aligning things sometimes. Despite his doubts, Richard agreed to drive Susan to the address. He couldn't deny her this, not when it meant so much to her. He loved his wife dearly and couldn't bear to see her so troubled. Her happiness was his priority, and if this trip could bring her some peace, it was worth it. As they drove, Susan couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of something life-changing. Her mind raced with possibilities, each one more incredible than the last. The address led them to a stately but aging building. It stood tall and proud, despite the wear and tear of time. A sign out front read, "St. Michael's Orphanage for Boys." The name sent a shiver down Susan's spine. It was a place she had heard of, but never visited. Susan's breath caught in her throat. The significance of the place hit her like a tidal wave. "It's the orphanage," she whispered, her eyes wide with disbelief. Could this really be the place where Kevin had spent his early years? Richard parked the car, his skepticism waning. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fit together in a way he hadn't anticipated. He couldn't deny the strange turn of events. Fate, it seemed, had a plan for them. They had to know more. The questions in their minds demanded answers, and they were determined to find them. Hand in hand, they walked towards the entrance, their hearts pounding with a mixture of apprehension and anticipation. Whatever lay beyond those doors, they were ready to face it together.